Progressive overload is extremely different once you have finished your Noob Gains in the novice phase. Hey everybody, I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And I think this is a very important topic for us to cover because it's something that gets misunderstood. And I think it's because people who have run, novice programs and they follow novice progression and they keep up with the idea that, look, progressive overload is kind of a major driver of hypertrophy and gains. It's a critical component to knowing that you've made progress. So they expect lifts to be going up all the time forever. And the simple reality is it's not about going up on a weekly or sometimes even monthly basis. And this is something that kind of gets lost in this because people are so used to seeing new programs to where you're adding 5 pounds sometimes to the bar every single workout for weeks on end, right? And then you do weight resets, but I think people also don't realize that for a lot of these novice programs, number one, you're not hitting true max reps either. Like usually if we're starting at something like about 70% of your max and you're adding 5 pounds for sets of 5, you may not actually get any sets that are within 1 rep of failure. Sometimes for the first couple of months, you literally, if you're eating enough, you're gaining weight, you're a true novice, sometimes you can progress that way 10 workouts for the same exercise, right? Or more. You might go months without actually getting up to a limit set that's like 0 reps in reserve or that hits failure. Okay? People forget that. Because you started with a weight that had you really pushed your limits, you might have been able to get 10 reps. And because you're getting bigger and stronger every single week, you're keeping pace with that progress. Okay? Those sets are sometimes not as hard as people think they are. And then when they do get hard, what do? You reduce the load 10%, right? As soon as you get a grindy rep or you miss anything, you reduce 10% and start it over. And it keeps you close enough to failure that you keep making gains, and then you have that progressive overload built in. So people see that and they remember that and they start thinking, well, I should be able to do that forever. Well, you simply couldn't, even if your progression dropped to 50% of that or 25% of that. Most guys would be squatting 1,000 pounds within a few years, okay? Which is how many people have squatted 1,000 pounds raw in the world? Not many. There aren't many. You could count them on one hand, I think. I could be wrong, but I think that's about right. Who've done it without wraps? Probably 4 or 5 guys in the entire world. And someone will check that and tell me I'm wrong. Look at my book, it's 11, But you guys get the same thing. You guys be benching 600 pounds within a few years. That's not how it works. Noob gains come real fast, and then they start stalling. But you start looking at that and think in terms of how that scales with bar weight, okay? We've got data showing that novices can oftentimes gain up to 2 pounds of muscle tissue in a month. A single month. Right? A lot of their gains are also neural gains. Once you've been training a lift a little while, you don't have neural gains anymore for the most part, particularly not on rep work. They become something like 10% of the gains you get are going to be neural. 90% of the bar weight increases come from hypertrophy if we're maintaining the same form, not cheating, not changing range of motion. Early on, maybe your first month of training, they might be over 50% of the bar weight you add. So if you put 20 pounds on the bar, at least 10 pounds of it, if not 15, came from what? Neural gains. Well, eventually you get to a point where you get more advanced, where for every 10 pounds you put on the bar, only maybe 1 pound of it came from neural drive and neural gains, like your nervous system, motor unit learning. Okay? So when you look at it from that context, we're not learning a new skill very much anymore. It contributes to only about 10% of how much strength you're gaining once you've been training a year or longer, 3 years or longer, okay? That's a best case scenario, about 10%. The rest is all muscle growth versus it being the majority your first couple months. All right, so hopefully people are starting to understand that, wait a minute, you're not going to be able to add much weight at all. That's right. And the way that you need to start looking at it is if you can increase the bar weight for, say, a 8 to 10 rep set, right? Which is where most of our hypertrophy work is going to be. I'm not saying that's what everyone does, but that's a nice sweet spot. I think everyone largely agrees about 8 to 10 reps, even 8 to 12 reps, you can gain a ton of muscle in that rep range with hard sets. Sets real close to failure, right? Kind of like you see me doing a lot of these clips. A 5% increase, so let's say you take something like a bench press, okay? You've been doing 225, you can do 10 reps with 225, and over the course of a year, you build that up to 10 reps with 235, 10 pounds. That's about, 4.8 to 5% increase in bar weight. Well, what does that translate to? Well, if early on, at least half of your gains were neural gains, that's really the equivalent of putting 20 pounds on the bar as a novice. Well, 20 pounds on the bar is probably, 2 months of work. What is that, about 4 pounds of muscle? Start looking at the muscle growth charts that most experts put out. They'll show novices gain about 1 to 2 pounds of muscle per month, on average with good programming, good diet. Intermediates about 1.5 pounds to 2. Really advanced lifters, maybe half a pound a month, but really probably less. So really most advanced lifters, most of the charts show maybe 2 to 3 pounds of muscle, maybe 4 in a year. Nice year of clean bulking, 3 to 4 pounds of muscle would be really solid if you've been training for 5 years. Like that would be great. Well, is that 10 pounds of bar weight? What's that equivalent of? If that was spread across your whole body, we're just talking about the bench press. Probably about 3 pounds of muscle growth, right? Maybe 4. About what a novice could do in 2 months. So 2 to 4 pounds of muscle, 1 to 2 kilograms. That's an entire year's worth of growth for an advanced lifter. So what does that translate to into progressive overload? Less than a pound being added to the bar per month. So really we're almost looking at reps. So, I would say to a lot of advanced lifters, if you could take 225 from 8 reps on an exercise up to about 12 reps, then you could add weight. Maybe add 5 pounds, reset it. Go up to 230, work from 8 up to 12, then go to 230, work it up to about 10. Right? That's going to be about a 5% increase. That is pretty much a year's worth of solid muscle growth. If you're a natural lifter, that is fantastic progress. To do that in 1 year if you're an advanced natural lifter, because that's about 3 to 4 pounds of muscle. You've been training more than about 5 years, you're probably not going to do that drug-free. You're going to be down to gaining maybe a pound. So over the course of a year, you might only put 5 pounds on the bar. You might only gain 2 total reps. And that would actually be acceptable. That would be good muscle growth. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.